give it to me all. Like, we're not going to set a goal, we're just going to read. You know, a cottage on a remote island and a one-bed trope, but it definitely kind of grabs you and sucks you in. Touching, oddly touching. I mean, come on, what a dream. If you're trying to figure it out, if you don't want children, if life feels a little odd, read Olive. Hi friends, I'm so glad you're here. My name is Renee. In this video, I want to talk about my 5-star reads of 2022. These are the books I absolutely devoured in one sitting, and the books I didn't want to finish because I didn't want to say goodbye to the characters yet. These books absolutely wrecked me in the best way possible, and they made me feel not alone, and I can't wait to share them with you. I stumbled into book talk and thus into the kind of romance world, and definitely brought back up my love of reading. But as the year progressed and I started getting closer to the age of 30, I kind of switched a little bit of my love of romance into kind of more fiction, especially stories about people choosing different life paths. I've always loved memoirs, and so I started to devour books that were about women in particular choosing a different path in life than what is the norm. I want to get started talking about my top reads of 2022. But first, coffee, always. My first 5-star read of the year was The People We Meet on Vacation by the wonderful Emily Henry. I found Emily Henry through TikTok and devoured every single one of her books, and I'm looking forward to her new one coming out as well. This book centers around best friends Poppy and Alex as they navigate their shifting friendship and feelings towards each other. It's set against the backdrop of different holiday destinations. I really resonated with Poppy and her love of travel and how she describes what it's like to be alone and feeling lonely. It's something that I first experienced when I was getting my master's in Scotland, and I understand what it's like to be alone and to feel lonely and to know the difference. And it's devastating to navigate and difficult. And I really love the way Emily Henry tackled that story for Poppy. I also love Poppy's desire for travel being focused around meeting people. And Emily Henry really knows how to write characters really well. I think this book just really resonated with me and my love of travel. Highly, highly recommend this book. My next top read of 2022 was One Night on the Island by Josie Silver. This book was chef's kiss. I really loved it. Cleo and Mac are our two main characters. Cleo is a journalist who has been sent to Salvation Island. It's a remote village off the coast of Ireland. She is set to self-couple, aka marry herself for her 30th birthday. Mac is a photojournalist who's visiting the island to follow his ancestral roots. I just adored Chloe and Mac and their relationship, and I love that it felt like a realistic love story, besides, you know, strangers staying in a cottage together in the one-bed trope. They didn't end up together when you expected them to. They really got to grow as individuals before they kind of came together. The village characters are eccentric and lovable. It's what you want from a good book. And like I said, I just love that it didn't necessarily end right away as a happy ending, but more of a realistic ending. And Cleo's self-coupling, though a bit eccentric, is very touching, oddly touching. The Candid Life of Meena Davav by Namrata Patel is my next top read of 2022. This was a part audiobook, part ebook reading. I started listening to it on my drive up the East Coast to visit my brother in DC, and I just loved this book. Meena is a photojournalist and a nomad. Are we seeing a pattern yet? She has no family, no permanent address, and no attachments. And she inherits an apartment in a Victorian brownstone in Back Bay, Boston. I mean, come on, what a dream. This book is kind of like a mystery, but not in your typical genre. Since Meena is adopted, we are trying to learn how and why she inherited this home. It's filled with hidden clues, a trio of Indian aunties, and the ever-present handsome next door Eligible Bachelor. Really enjoyed listening to this book, and then I finished it up via an ebook. This was one of these that I read in one day, and I'm not normally an audiobook person, but I definitely enjoyed this, and I think when I do more road trips in the future, audiobooks are the way to go. I loved this one, and I'm looking forward to reading more by this author. Another cup of coffee. Okay, top read of 2022, Olive. Y'all, this book, it took me a month to finish because I didn't want it to end. I fell in love with Olive, and this book wrecked me in the best possible way. I really found myself in Olive, and as someone who doesn't want children, I knew I wanted to read more books about that experience because, as I mentioned, knowledge is power. So this book follows Olive and her best friends from when they were in school all the way up to now adulthood. It really talks about how their lives kind of start to branch away from each other, from jobs and having children and starting families and all of this. And we really get to learn how Olive is dealing with kind of this core group of friends and how their lives are kind of going down these different paths, and how can they still remember each other and maintain that closeness. And Olive starts to kind of question a lot of her life choices because they don't follow the normal path, and because life according to Olive looks a little different. But she also learns that her choices aren't wrong and that they're just different. And while her friendships may change, they are still as important as ever. I really loved this book, and I've taken a lot from it, and I've got friends right now that we're all walking different paths in life, but they're still important people and still friendships I value. I cannot recommend this book enough. Just pick it up. Just pick it up. Especially if you're thinking about not wanting to have children, and other people and friends in your life, they look like they have their life together, which, plot twist, no one has their life together. All right, we're all just walking each other home. If you're trying to figure it out, if you don't want children, if life feels a little odd, read Olive. My last 5-star read of 2022 is Love from London. This book is about a mother-daughter relationship told from 2 separate timelines. When librarian Valentina Baker was a teenager, her mother Eloise unexpectedly fled back to her native London, leaving Val and her father on their own. Now in her 30s, Val has received word that Eloise, her mother, had passed away, leaving her a Primrose Hill apartment and the deed to a bookshop she owned with her friend. The story deals with Val's abandonment issues, and we learn how Eloise's life unfolded. And life isn't always what it looks to be from the outside looking in. This was such a beautiful, heartfelt, heartbreaking, and endearing book about love, secrets, grief, decisions, missed opportunity, and second chances. It kind of says at the end of the day, what happens when life gets in the way of true happiness? What are you going to do about it? Had a little bit of romance, a little predictable at times, but it was still beautiful. Highly recommend this one. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today, friends. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about the books I read. And if you have any suggestions for my TBR, leave them down below. I look forward to hanging out with you all next time. Have a good one. My next 5-star read of the year was How Bad Is This Sun, Babe? Does it make me look angelic? I think it makes me look angelic. Okay, let's go. Retching. Heart-wrenching? It would probably annoy me more than it's going to annoy you.